Mic test 1 2 1 2. One two one two.
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for foreign dads, community members, and developers. A shining beacon in space. All alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the 3rd chapter of Elite, the year space lakes came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Ladian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 324 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder Bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Aid Levice, that's Ben Moss-Woodward.
It's new! We have new shiny things!
We also have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello. Ben, don't break it. It's only just been polished, so don't lick it or anything.
I'll get into some news on that when we go into our How's Your Week Been?
Okay, I'm already worried. But we also have our Deputy Trade Attaché, Commander Souverain.
What up?
I must admit, the pitch seems to get a little bit higher every week.
I tried to do falsetto for that.
I was wondering where your bollocks had gone to.
Well, what it is, you see, is because of lockdown, Sue is now eating a lot more, so his trousers have expanded and therefore got tighter. So therefore,
my trousers have expanded and therefore got tighter.
Right.
You are
okay.
breaking the law of conservation of mass yet again, Sham.
Or he's implying something that you're... No, I'm not even going to go there. Can we believe it? It's less than 2 minutes and we're already into the smut.
You're into the smut. You're into the smut for a change.
It was Ben that started it. We also
about expanding trousers.
We also have our Tech Gibbon, the Chris Mark IV, and Noel Turner. He's helping out today with technical stuff. And do we have N2 with us today?
Yep, I'm here.
So once again, N2 joins us. Obviously, from very early in the morning where he's from. So, if you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game in open at the at Lave Station. If you can't get to us in game,
I'm at the bar actually, Colin.
Oh, you're actually at the bar today. Okay,
I'm at the bar.
Ben's at the bar. Surprise, drinks are on him. There's a phrase you don't hear very often. If you can get in game, you can join us on the Twitch chat channel, which you go through to laveradio.com/live, click on the live chat, or go to twitch.tv/laveradio, or Lave Radio on YouTube, or Lave Radio on Facebook. So we'll quickly go around the team, see what they've been up to this week, and let's start with Ben this week.
So I will freely admit and hold my hands up and say I've actually played no space games, well, space sims this week. I've been doing quite a fair bit of EDRPG.
Mhm.
I've been playing Minecraft with Paige and my kids, and any spare time's been in Cyberpunk, and also working with. So, right, we've been working with Commanders Rosetta Stone, Tokuso, and Witherspoon on that beautiful, shiny intro, which is still not finalized actually yet. And the reason why it's not finalized, and the reason why you said about breaking things, is after giving us that not quite fully polished version of our intro audio, Tokuso's computer has gone boom boom.
Oh,
We've got
you put them
a
under too much strain.
well, something has, and we're waiting on his. He's got some more audio to basically. He's got to replace some of the audio, do some doofers and darfars, and hopefully get some masters out. But at the moment, I don't even know if he's got things or if everything's gone. I hope he's got backups. I've not heard anything about things since he gave us that audio last week.
Well, fingers crossed that we'll get
Yeah.
we'll hear from him soon, because that was quite nice. That
It
so
was.
thank you for making us look semi-professional.
It reminded me of a certain television show, but I can't put my finger on it.
It's like I think there's a cross between the Babylon 5 and Firefly going on there. I think
Who did the video?
Witherspoon did the video. Rosetta Stone did the audio intro stuff at the beginning, and Tokuso did the music.
Nice.
Mm.
Yes, and we'll just take the credit.
As usual. Sovereign, have you been this week?
I'm sorry, I've got to.
Oh, hang on, there's more. Okay.
I've just been given into trouble with that by Commander Toxic, who's joining us again in Twitch chat. Because yes, I've also been playing Minecraft with him too.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Now I can move on.
Now you can move on. Now that Commander Toxic has said, "Yeah, I remember. I'm here. Don't forget me." Okay, Sovereign.
I have also not played Elite this week because I've been playing RimWorld on Ben's recommendation, actually, which is probably one of my 5 or 6 favorite games now. It's absolutely brilliant, but I've also been quite busy with other things, so not a lot to report from me.
Oh, so I think I worked it out last week. Was that Oblivion that you were?
Yes.
You were playing?
Yes.
Because it only occurred to me when I was listening back to it and I went, that sounds familiar.
I can't believe none of you got it. Like every single time, it's been either a classic film or a game, and none of you seem to get any of them. It's remarkable. It really, I find it very.
No, we do get them, Sovereign. We just like to hear you witter on. And
well, Oblivion came out 15 years ago? Was it 15?
14. It'll be 15. Oh no, yeah, 15 this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly, the last time I played it would have been 15 years ago.
Wow. Gosh.
Actually, talk about Oblivion. The youngest Mini Shan, he played quite a lot of Oblivion, and he used to go around and massacre entire towns, and kill the guards.
Well, see, genetics is true to form there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Shan's entire family.
So, Shan, what have you been up to this week then?
I haven't actually had time to play any games at all. Really, I've been such a slacky thing. Because I've been, because I've been up to my neck in monocrystalline panels, discharge cycles, and latitude calculations. So
I love it when you talk dirty.
Well, no, what it is we're currently looking at getting a solar battery system for the house. You see, so we just have to sit and do lots of maths and lots of space stuff to work out how much power we'll get from solar panels, and how big a battery size we'll need, and it's really complicated. It's proper science. It's terrible. So that's kind of kept me busy because I haven't been allowed out of the house, obviously. So I've been bouncing off the walls pretty much, because I do like to go out and just kind of do things, but it just hasn't been possible at the moment, and it probably won't be possible for a while. So it's back to lockdown haircut, I think.
Well,
I haven't
I'm
cut
not.
my hair since March. Tell you what, growing your hair is the best hobby. Like it's so like it doesn't cost anything. There's no investment necessary. You don't need special kit. It's just so rewarding.
Yes, I
Well,
remember
actually,
that I could do that when I was young.
Well, actually, you say that. One thing I have, because I haven't been to the hairdresser for quite a while, my hair has actually stopped growing lengthwise. And what I don't know is, has it stopped growing lengthwise because that's as long as my hair ever gets? Because I have never had it cut for long enough to know. Or has it stopped growing full stop? So have I kind of like run out of hair to grow? Or is this just as long as it'll get? And it's not even enough to go in a Jon Snow man bun either.
A Jon Snow man bun.
It's a
Okay.
cultural reference. It refers to.
Am I the only person that has not seen Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
In the world.
And to answer Kaizen, no, I have not been evil. I have never have been evil. Okay, I've never have been evil. I've been mischievous, but I haven't been evil.
I think Shan is. I've never actually seen Shan in the flesh. I'm pretty sure Shan is actually one of the what are they called? Who's seen the Dark Crystal? You know those.
Yes.
Well, a Skeksis. I'm not a Skeksis.
Yes, he's actually a Skeksis. He doesn't look anything like his avatar on Discord. He's actually a Skeksis.
Did you not see Shan in the flesh, as it were, at LaveCon the other year?
I don't remember doing so. I'm not sure I'd met him at that point. I can't remember. I don't think.
No,
I'm
very forgettable. I'm very forgettable.
I don't think I was on the show at that point.
You're just there doing saggy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know that I've met Shan because basically he helped fix one of my models. But
See, I'm helpful. Colin, just cut that out. Shan helped me. See, I want that highlighted. Shan helped me.
Helped me with one of my models, yes. And yeah, that's been, I think, the only interaction I've had with them.
And thank you for not mentioning the 6 other models I broke. But
no, I think we'll leave that, shall we? Anyway, personally, well, I've had a little bit of time in Elite Dangerous. I'm probably the only one that has. I'm just enough to keep my power play character going. But apart from that, nothing much, because I think everybody we're kind of waiting for the next big thing to drop, to be honest. Plus, also, I've had real life deadlines, which aren't nice. So I've been a stressed bunny for the last week or so. So, with that out of the way, we'll have a quick look at the development news. Now, there hasn't been much, it must be said. We have had a magazine called MCV Develop, number 964, and it had a 6-page spread about Odyssey with one giant leap, it's called. Now, looking through this article, there was 2 points which stood out to me. Is that the first point was they were saying that was 100 to 140 devs working on Odyssey, which is up from what we thought there was. And the second one was that the way that they're managing the expectations, which they've changed policy a bit. There hasn't been any CGI trailers regarding Elite Dangerous Odyssey.
That's true. That's a really good point, and I hadn't thought of that.
So, do you recall when Frontier ever used CGI
Yes.
trailers, apart from the very, very first pre-launch trailer? Because I'm thinking of the trailers they used for when the Thargoids came, the Commander Chronicles, things like that. That was all done in engine, wasn't it? I
It
believe.
was enhanced engine, yeah. The full CGI one was definitely the first one which had the rocky music to it. And the problem with that one was they condensed the gameplay down to, something that would fit into a nice 2-minute, a 2-minute soundbite. And then they had all the let's say people taking the mickey was saying, well, that's what the gameplay trailer's like. This is what it's really like.
Yes.
And which I thought was rather unfair because you don't get that kind of stuff in Star Wars: The Old Republic, because you watch the trailers for those Star Wars: Old Republic and you think, oh, that looks fantastic, and then you play Star Wars: The Old Republic.
So do you class then the CGI trailer as enhanced engine, or what do you? I mean, obviously if you used to get the artwork on boxes for 16-bit computer games, and the artwork looked nothing like the actual game.
Mm.
So if you can do it in engine, admittedly, you can't generate it in the client. You have to tweak the engine a bit to get the thing. Is that the same as the CGI, or is that still an engine? I'm just wondering where you guys draw the line.
Well, the thing is about everything that they've shown us so far about Odyssey is that everything's been in-game engine, and it hasn't been enhanced. Whereas the Commander Chronicles, when the Thargo's about, that was enhanced, and they had to do a load of stuff for basically animating the commanders in that one, because there's no way that we had access to those kind of things. I mean, Commander Turgeon does these fantastic Mashima Elite Dangerous stories. Turgeon travels, but he's got specific software to do that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's very, very good, whatever it is.
You remember the mission videos that were downloaded as part of one update and then disappeared? Do you remember people found a folder with a whole load of videos in of like mission briefings and things like that, stuff like that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it, but there wasn't much of it, and it disappeared very, very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, just wondering if was that the same enhanced engine or was that CGI? I can't remember.
Oh, I think it was CGI. I don't think it was enhanced engine, because they were proper cutscenes. I mean, it was probably, if they were going to do those kind of cutscenes for every mission, they would have to have been a lot more than just the ones that were there.
Interesting. And the 140 deaths, that was about what I thought they had anyway. I mean,
No,
is that
what
100
you?
140 full-time devs? Are you dedicated to Odyssey? Because we know they move people like audio developers in and out of projects and things like that. They work for Frontier, not necessarily on a project. So I just wonder how they count that.
Yeah, well, they didn't go into much specific apart from any specifics apart from those numbers. So we know that at one point they claimed the team was 100 big, and it seems to me that they've probably expanded that to 140 by poaching developers off other teams and other projects.
It
Because
was 2019 that they told us that there were 100 people working on it. So it's safe to assume that they'll have grown that by, I don't know, 20 or 30 in the 18 months since then to deliver Odyssey.
So yeah, so the Elite Dangerous team is bigger than we were expecting, and well, obviously we're going to have to wait to see what the results are of that. Now there's a Let's Play community goal highlighted here. They announced that an AMA would be coming on Friday the 8th. As of now, they haven't published it, even though FDES says it will be out soon.
Well, that's an FDev soon, isn't it? That's an FDev soon, not a real soon.
Yeah, so we've got no idea when that's going to arrive, so we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, we had the Super Cruise news today at 4:30, and it was basically, I think Stephen and Zach talking about some things that we're going to be talking about later, and then also shooting people in CQC. So quite a quiet Super Cruise news. But then again, you only expect to have the big news on a Thursday, I think. So, in the in-game events, what has been happening this week? Well, in Galnet, Aegis continues to call for support against the Thargoids, mostly due to the fact they've been defunded. Operation Ida has now started to move into the Coalsack Nebula to start repairing a lot of the stations. However, lately they've put out an alert saying that they'd rather commanders who aren't hauling go help the Anti-Xeno initiative in the Witch Head. So it looks like the Anti-Xeno initiative are needing a little bit of help to try and contain the Thargoid threat in the Witch Head Nebula. As said before, the Anti-Xeno initiative have moved operations to the Witch Head, as they've now managed to clear all the systems in the Coalsack. There is an Anti-Xeno initiative operation happening at the moment. So there's a special event that they've put together. So if you are interested in finding out what they're up to, head over to the Anti-Xeno Initiative Discord or have a look on the forums, because they'll have announced it there. And it seems to be quite interesting. We have a new CG in progress at the moment to provide xenological samples to scientists in Colonia. And what do people think about that? This is the first CG for quite a while that's out in Colonia.
It's I think there was a couple of people said that that it was very hard to chalk up any meaningful gains in it if you didn't have a fleet carrier, which might be true. But I don't think that's personally, I don't feel like that's a tremendous problem. If fleet carriers are force multipliers, and it is appropriate that they make you better at stuff. That it's probably a little bit annoying if it's difficult to do the CG without one. That's not the balance that you want. But if they, it's perfectly understandable if they just give you a little bit of an edge. It's cool that Colonia are getting CGs again. They did in 3302. There were a lot of CGs in Colonia, and it's really nice to see them come back.
So on that point, Sue, about the fleet carriers, do you feel as though they are, when they set a CG up, they are setting the tiers, the success tiers, so to speak, with fleet carriers in mind? And is that the right way to go about the balancing? Because if they set the highest tier, i.e. the CG success, assuming people are going to bring fleet carriers, then that has a knockdown balancing effect for people who don't have fleet carriers. So in other words, you've moved the goalposts because of fleet carriers. And could that then be interpreted by people who don't have fleet carriers as putting them at a disadvantage?
Well, only if the goalposts have been moved. I think that's a good point, but you do need to demonstrate that the goalposts have moved. As far as I can tell, I don't think there's it's obvious that that's happened yet.
I'm not sure. I mean, that's why I kind of asked the question, because you think if the top tier used to be, I don't know, 100 million tons of something, and after carriers, the top tier is then 300 million tons of the same thing of the same difficulty.
I agree with you. I'm not sure. If a listener knows the answer to that, then and can tell us, then please do so. As far as I'm aware, that hasn't happened. It's the tiers haven't changed, and we haven't seen tier inflation. I do know that it is a delicate balance to get the tiers right.
Right. Okay. Ben, you want to just clang in?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that we're getting CGs out in Colonia again. I think any excuse to get out to Colonia is a good thing, because Colonia is a beautiful part of the galaxy, and
It is stunning.
So I think it is great getting people out there. Also, sure, even if fleet carriers are a multiplier, there are a lot of fleet carriers going back and forth between the bubble and Colonia on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's true.
Lot of people run it as a service, and they're like, join my fleet carrier by 9 o'clock on Monday. You'll be there by 5 p.m. that evening, and then I'll be departing back to the bubble 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. If you're off the ship by then, you'll be in Colonia.
Yeah, I've offered that service to people, and no one's taking me up on it.
Yeah, yes, funny that.
Yeah. So I don't see, even if you don't own a fleet carrier, I don't see how you can complain about it being elitist, etc. When you can use someone else's fleet carrier and not fly there yourself. I mean, I would say about people flying off to Beagle Point and back. Well, Beagle Point in 5 hours. But obviously, that's not a ship optimized for hauling goods. So you're comparing apples with oranges there. But no reason why you can't jump on someone else's carrier. So stop moaning.
So does everybody think that this idea for getting samples from, I think, is it sort of pods, some kind of pods? Is this
Yeah.
a good alternative to the usual kind of CGs, which is hauling or combat?
It's still kind of hauling, though, isn't it?
Well, it's fetch the stuff, scan the stuff, haul the stuff, rinse, repeat. You're still filling buckets, but it's a good thing.
Fair enough.
I think the added twist, if you like, of having it in Colonia makes it potentially very interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's full of Thargoids, and who doesn't love a Thargoid?
But they're not Thargoids, are they? They're just some kind of alien pod, which aren't. They act similar to some Thargoid ways, but they're not actual Thargoids themselves.
Everyone not human is a Thargoid, and even some humans have Thargoid underneath them, especially the government.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So basically, you're telling us that the club, whatever they are just basically Thargoids in human suits.
Yeah, I mean, it's like QAnon say the club are the club are drinking the blood of children around the galaxy and have been for years. They're actually not even human; they're Thargoids dressed up as humans, wearing human skin suits.
Etienne Dawn proves it.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah.
Okay, and for everybody else, watch out as Souverine and Shan will storm your local government building. Wearing red baseball caps.
That was funny. I don't know who was worse, the protesters or the police taking selfies with the protesters.
Did you say it was funny?
Yeah, I know.
Kind of like exasperating. Like,
Shan, 5 people died. it's not funny. Sorry,
6 actually.
6. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
that obviously bit is really sad. I was just looking with incredulous at the photographs of the policemen standing around having selfies taken with the protesters and letting the protesters through by opening up the gates and then escorting one of them down as if they're in a Downton Abbey movie. It's kind of like, I didn't get it. I just didn't get it.
Well, leaving real life alone for the moment, because the only thing that I'll say on this, I think guard frequency handle it better than we do, but then again, they've got more invested in what happened in Washington than we do. Yeah, I think they said it a bit better. If it was a coup, it was a very badly organized one.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to pretend spaceships. Aegis now supports the Galactic Summit, which the further calls have been made for galactic unity against the alien threat, and they think that a summit in Utopia would be a great idea. Isn't that going to be sort of a message to the Thargoids saying, if you want to lop off the leadership, here's the place to attack?
Absolutely that.
Getting a bit of a Battlestar Galactica vibe on this one. Being led into a trap.
Agreed.
And finally, we have Fleet Admiral Vincent, the guy that has allegedly blown up. Was it Space Force One? I can't remember whether it's called Space Force One or Earth.
It's Starship One, I believe.
Yeah,
it's called Starship One.
Starship One. Well, there we go. I'm getting my Babylon 5 mixed up again. His trial has now been set for the 25th of January, so it's probably going to be a bit of a flashpoint round about that time.
My birthday.
Hey, excellent. So,
Elite. This will be the second time that something dramatic in Elite happens on my birthday. It was on my birthday a couple of years ago that Denton Petraeus shot someone in the Senate chamber.
that was the that pretender prince,
Yeah.
or rather, the prince that actually had more right to be the emperor than the emperor presently does.
Oh, meow! That's subversive talk coming from a
saying-
loyal Empire supporter.
Are you saying the emperorship was stolen?
No, I'm not at all. I'm just observing that if you followed the genetics, then that's the way it goes. However, politics in the empire is slightly different, and you have to be more flexible in your outlook to make sure that you can work for the emperor.
Well, the words flexible and empire don't really go together, do they?
Okay,
I can think of certain imperial senators who would be quite flexible.
You really ought to stop fantasizing about Denton Petraeus so much, Ben.
I thought Ben was talking. I thought Ben was fantasizing about Drew Wagar, but here we go.
Well, he's related to Willie Wagar.
Well, that's put an image in my head I didn't want. Right, okay. And that's everything that's been happening in game. So actually, when you look at what's been happening in the last week, quite a lot. I mean, what does everybody think of the state of the galaxy right now?
I think it's poised quite nicely, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get that.
It's exciting times.
As Karumba says, Marlinism for the win.
Yeah,
I agree, Karumba.
They've gone quiet. Wonder if that plot thread has now been resolved.
I don't think so.
No, the Elite Dangerous universe is like Marvel Comics. Nothing ever gets resolved, and they always manage to get a new twist from somewhere to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, it must have.
All the revivals. Sorry.
Oh, go on, N2.
Yeah, like in the Marvel universe, they keep reviving people no matter what they did or how they died.
Yeah, no one ever dies in a comic book, not as long as they still sell copies.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like there will never be peace in the Star Wars galaxy as long as those movies make a lot of money.
Well, it can't be called Star Peace, can it? Because
that would
yeah,
be
but
really
no,
boring.
but it's a bit sad, really, that you come back to these characters and they've never known a peaceful period. They've always had to be fighting for 30 years. When you think about it, it is actually just as grim as Warhammer 40k. It's just got a shinier side on it.
The thing is, conflict makes people interested, and as you say, if it was just people talking, or if in Suit's case, a bunch of hackers just typing, it would be pretty boring.
Isn't that basically what episode 1 was?
No, episode 1 had the joy that was Jar Jar Binks.
Actually, it's quite funny. The forum, the Star Wars groups that I've been talking to, they've re-evaluated their thoughts on episodes 1, 2, 3, and they're saying, well, I think they're better now.
Yes, everybody has.
Better than the Rise of Skywalker.
Just slightly, yeah.
It's that benchmark. It's okay. They've now found a Star Wars movie more rubbish than episode 1, so therefore episode 1 is okay now.
I think this is how humans work, though. I think this is a general human thing of something's come out that's that I feel is that I'm enraged about, and therefore I will feel better about what I used to be enraged about. No doubt something will come out in 10 years' time or 20 years' time that is much shitter than Rise of Skywalker, and we'll all start revising our attitudes of that, and we'll be like,
that sounds like something Dominic Cummings would come up with.
What I've just said, or what I've just described?
No, what you just described. It's Brexit is less crap than it should have been, so therefore it's okay.
Don't know, not sure.
Right.
That's we're going to anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on from a galaxy far, far away back to here. Even though I do find it quite ironic that most people now think The Phantom Menace is the third worst Star Wars movie.
I think The
instead of
Phantom
just
Menace
being-
is pretty good. I quite liked it.
So, yeah.
I mean,
So back
fair dues to J.J. Abrams and the directors of the last set of films for being able to make a film that was worse than Phantom Menace. I mean, that takes real talent.
No.
Oh, that wonderful Darth Vader impersonation there by Suv. That was really good.
That wasn't me. That was Ben.
That was me.
Was it? Oh, it's normally Suv, you see, doing daft things like that, you see.
It is normally me.
Anyway, yes. We have had a store alert.
Store alert!
Thank you. I think we're going to have to record that. This week, the fantastic Anaconda Predator packs were made available.
Yes!
Okay. I'm glad someone's excited.
Predator pack, does it mean you see everything in infrared and ultraviolet?
No, it makes your ship look as if a predator's watching you. We're not going
Kai
to
wants
do
you to
that.
finish the song, the store alert song.
There is no song.
Well, there should be.
We should make a song. That would be great, actually. We should make a store alert song. Store alert, nobody cares. Store alert, nobody fucking cares. Store alert, we've all got our ship kits already. Store alert, leave us alone and put useful things in the newsletter.
Right. M2, could you snip that out and give us an MP3 of it, please?
Already on it.
That's it.
Service.
That's it. That's the new one we all leave on. Forget the Uranus talk. This is the new outro.
Oh, you've been dying for something to replace your Uranus quote, haven't you?
Pardon? You've been dying for something to replace my Uranus.
I specifically meant the quote, but whatever.
I don't know. I'm quite attached to this one, to be honest.
You're attached to Uranus. Well, I expect people are.
Oh
Just
dear.
keeping the tape running for you guys for the end of the show.
Good.
Thanks. Right.
Matt Winston actually, Sue, Matt Winston improved on your lyrics. In
Oh, right.
In the Twitch chat.
I'm not in the Twitch chat. I will go there now.
It's almost worth seeing that one, actually.
I shouldn't be so mean about Frontier's store alerts. I know that it's all in good faith and lots of
the
video
store
games
alert.
sell cosmetics. I just find that the idea that we should be excited about the store quite amusing.
Karumba's now said the store alert song should be epic. Use Oklahoma as a reference. I've never listened to
Actually,
that.
one thing in reference to the store alert song. Why not store alert? Just give us new ships already.
I'm not even sure there is a song. I don't know where this idea of a store alert song has come from.
Because you improv'd something which was very funny about a couple of weeks ago before we signed off, and it got Kai Zen quite rolling
Excited.
in the floor.
All right,
Yes.
I don't remember singing anything, but
We'll have to go back.
Good.
Kai's actually put in the chat that.
Yes, so nobody gives a shit. That wasn't a song though. That was just a refrain. Store alert, and nobody gives a shit. I think I just shouted it actually.
So basically, there you go, Kai. You've had your own unique Lave Radio special request.
We could record it. We could record a
duo.
thing.
A duo, Sue and Kai. A sort of duet, like a.
Right. I'm stopping this now. We're going to need to go to an ad break just for you lot to calm down after the excitement of the store alert. So,
And when
Chris,
we come back, Sue will give us a song that him and Kai have just made up. It's like
No,
Michael McIntyre's show, you know, where they go off and they do something. And then
no,
they
I,
come
I
back
think
at the end.
I think we'll save such a wonderful news item till next week's show. So just to give him a little bit of time to let it simmer and come up with
You're too kind.
Yeah, I am. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our main discussion after these messages.
Have you been missold PPI? Python Protection Insurance was missold if you didn't want it, ask for it, or need it.
I was missold Python Protection Insurance and I got a claim worth 3,000 credits.
At Cowell & McGrath, we are ready to pursue claims for pilots who were sold PPI, even though they didn't have an escape pod.
When my partner's ship was destroyed, the insurance became invalid. I settled out of court for enough credits to restart my narcotics and weapons shipping business.
Millions have been missold Python Protection Insurance they can never claim, simply because they don't have an escape pod. Why should you pay for not reading the small print?
My husband was missold PPI. As a result of our claim, we now own Jupiter.
Cowell & McGrath, turning your carelessness into profitable lawsuits. Hi, I'm Trent Stephen Findlist Jr., and I'm here to tell all you pilots about a great new service. Take a listen to my friend, Pete.
My name's Pete, and I'm a long-distance haulier. I drive a Puma, shipping farm machinery from Leasty to Saweo. I love my family and I don't mind being a hard-working blue-collar dad, but I'm tired of seeing my family grow old in front of my eyes. Every time I make the run there and back, I lose 15 days in hyperspace. My family is starting to notice that they're getting older and I'm not. My wife had a baby last week, I did a week of shifts and now my kid's got teeth. I wish there was some way my family could get old at the same speed as me.
There is, Pete.
How?
By buying into my new service, Findlist Cryogenics. We aim to put the freeze on the premature aging of your family. The process is simple.
Our unique family centres allow you to drop off your loved ones on the way to work. Simply hire the number of cryogenic pods you need and keep your family asleep while you fly among the stars. We ensure synchronicity with your flight patterns so they spend the same time awake that you spend in the cockpit.
And when you get home, bingo! Your family is the same age as you. Never lose family time in hyperspace again. We guarantee that you'll never miss another birthday, anniversary, or funeral.
Wow, Trent, that sounds great. Where do I sign?
Simply put your credit card details into our special webpage under the hashtag WeFreezeYourLove. We'll take care of the amounts, no need to worry about that.
It's so simple. I can't wait to keep my family in a secure block of ice. It's a weight off my mind.
Findlist Cryogenics, now at your local spaceport.
Findlist Cryogenics.
So we
because the
decided
family
how
that
we're going to
grows
do
old
these
together goes cold together.
list then.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back. I should point out in that advert was really done around the fact that when you were flying in Frontier First Encounters and Frontier, you would lose a week and a half jumping in hyperspace. So when you think about it, if you did have a wife at home or a family at home, yeah, you would miss out a couple of weeks every trip. Before you know it, you're still 28 and they're a lot older. Anyway, our main discussion this week is we put a call to everybody via Twitter, on the forums, and on Facebook. Basically, before we look forward to Odyssey again, we thought we'd just review and see what everybody's best memory of Elite has been so far. So what I'm going to do is we'll go around the crew first, and then we'll dip into the forum thread. So let's start with Commander Shan. You said you've got two.
Yes, I have. Yeah, for good reason. So anyway, the first one was, I think it was back in late January, after Elite had launched. So I think it was January 15, I think it was. And I'd gotten myself to competent combat rank in the meantime. And then the CG, the War in Loo, happened, and I thought, well, okay, I'll really go and I'll try and get combat elite. And so I spent 32 hours solid playing in the CG Loo, and with you went through that, but with me all that time was a friend of mine who's played a bit of Elite, but he wasn't playing at the time, and we've been friends for about 14 years at the time. He was one of my friends in Guild Wars, and he was actually one of the 6 people who actually knew my real name. So he was really close, and he just spent all the 32 hours on voice chat, just chatting about nonsense and stuff like that. And what I remember was at the time there was no indicator, there's no percentage figure, so you kind of killed a few, and you had no idea how far along you were at the time. So I remember it was like 32 hours, and then I got Combat Elite. And one of the sort of bittersweet things about this memory is a few years later, a couple of years ago actually, this friend of mine was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Oh God!
And to be honest, I still miss him. It sounds very mushy and stuff like that, but he was a close friend for 14 years. You know, uh,
It doesn't
his
sound mushy at all.
No, it was just. I mean, it was such a sad loss. But that's my, the bittersweet memory really, that he wasn't, he didn't have to. He was that sort of guy. He didn't have to stay on voice chat with me for 32 hours solid, keep me company. But he knew getting Combat Elite was important to me, and because it was important to me, it was important to him. And yeah, so that was probably my most overriding memory of Elite. But my second one is a bit happier, and it's probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in Elite. And this was when Ed Lewis had made his way out to Beagle Point and was trying to get back in a ship of 27 light years jump range. And he got stuck in the abyss. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but every lunchtime he'd have his biscuit review and he'd have his journey home. But he got stuck in the abyss and had no way of navigating out. So I remember going on to Skype chat with him, and by using trigonometry and things like that, I plotted him a route 65,000 light years away based on the angles on his screen to look for the next jump point. So that was hard doing that for him. That was probably quite satisfying because he got to his biscuits and he helped him out, and it was all good. But yeah, that's my two. This 32-hour stint with my friend and helping Ed Lewis out of the abyss from 65,000 light years away.
That's astonishing.
Okay, then, Sue, your turn.
Mine are nowhere near as altruistic. Probably my most laugh out loud, oh my God, this game rocks moment was actually quite recently. It was probably about 2 years ago, or maybe 18 months ago, and it was when I first soloed a Thargoid interceptor. I'd been practicing with some friends, and we'd blown up loads of times. And it was when I sort of just decided that I'd plug away at it and see how far I got. And I've never thought of myself as a particularly good combat pilot, so I didn't think it would come to anything. And when I finally got it down to like 10%, and I realized that I was going to blow, actually it blew up in front of me, and I was like, oh, it's acting a bit weird, and I realized that it exploded before I realized that it had gone into its death animation. And I had the VR headset on, and I actually shouted. I actually sort of exclaimed in delight because it was such a wonderful feeling. It was this, absolutely, oh my God, I can't believe this game is this good. I can't believe I've just bested what is a pretty stiff challenge. It was just phenomenal. Really amazing sense of increased skill and achievement, and just really visceral as well, especially in VR. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best gaming memories I've ever had. And then on a community perspective, I helped organise a few bits and bobs in Colonia in 3302, and one of those was the Running Man race that we did on a canyon network on one of the planets out there. And we had about, I can't remember, it must have been sort of 20 or 40 people who came and did it. And I think we did time trials as well as sort of a set event on a given day. Organising those races and we arranged the players into two heats, or two teams, sorry. And one team would race while the other team used their lasers to mark out the course. like as race markers. And the teamwork involved in that was really good fun, and the race itself was a really good track. It was really challenging, and it was just emblematic of how wonderful it was to be out in Colonia at that time.
Now that does sound cool, actually.
Yeah, it was
right.
brilliant.
Ben, your turn. I have a sneaking suspicion about this, and I've made a bet with Stephen Usher.
Okay, it's not going to be that then.
Oh, right, fair enough. Damn, lost.
Now you've told him that, Colin, he's going to quickly use the time to think of another one.
Nah, I mean, I could be boring and go off and say things like the launch event and things like that. But I've been trying to think of an in-game event that isn't Distant Worlds 2 and all that other awesome stuff that's been going off. And I actually think one of my best events that I remember in game was I'd just gotten my very first Type 9, and I was doing bulk trading in it.
Mm.
And I found a route that was only a couple of jumps away, and not massively long in hyperspace in Super Cruise, sort of getting to the station. But I was flying my brand new Type 9 without a rebuy, and the butt clenching whilst it was going on, and then the relief of making it there was absolutely awesome. And then that combined into doing that with another couple of commanders, and actually being able using that and flying with those guys, was able to save up and get my first Anaconda.
Yeah, I must admit, does flying without a rebuy actually enhance the gameplay, or is it just a case of, yeah?
Oh, I mean, I was aware of the risks. You know, I knew don't fly without a rebuy, but I was also like, I can, if I fly without this rebuy, I'll be making, God knows how much extra profit by trading these slaves or palladium. I think it was probably those things back in the day. If I ignore the last 10 million of palladium, then that means I can actually go and take 100 tons of the stuff rather than 10 tons of the stuff.
Right.
And that was a big difference. And I was like, I'm gonna, I was doing it in open. I bought the bullet, and we got it done, and it was fine. But yeah, that butt clenching really was awesome, as it were.
So would you then promote the Iron Man way of playing Elite, so that's you clear your save once you get destroyed?
Elite Rogue edition sort of thing.
Oh, I
think
couldn't
if
play that.
everybody were doing it, yes.
Oh no, definitely not.
If I were in a galaxy which only had other Iron Men commanders, yeah, I could get behind that.
Because you wouldn't care about flying without rebuy, then, would you?
Well, you're dead is dead, isn't it? But I wouldn't, in the galaxy as we currently have it, I wouldn't recommend it. Where people will murder you for shits and giggles. They don't even want your stuff.
I mean, that was back in the days when you could appear in, come out of Super Cruise at a space station and end up inside the space station.
Well, yeah, there is that too.
Mm. Well, the one problem that, well, in my experience, people, even if it is an Iron Man mode, people will still gank you, and that's just human nature, especially in
because your salty tears they will outweigh the giggles they've got from inflicting said salty tears.
Yeah, well, I think. But yeah, I do. I mean, I've seen it in other MMOs where that there is permadeath, and it doesn't stop people from being ganked. And I must admit, if say I'd got up to say dangerous and I had a bad day, because all it takes is one bad day or one bad trip, and you lost everything down to a sidewinder, and you had to start all over again after 500, 600 hours.
That sounds
Would you?
great. That sounds like just the experience I'm looking for.
Really?
No, I don't understand people who want that. It sounds utterly rubbish.
And well, no, that would be a wipe the game and not come back to it for at least 6 months, if at all.
Yeah, I've had a couple of moments where I very nearly rage. Well, yeah, I've had a couple of moments where I've stepped away and I've been like, do you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. I'm to stop playing Elite for a while.
Yes, one of those. Let's see, what would mine be? Well, I mean, I would like two, but as Stephen Usher has mentioned, or we will be mentioning his favourite moment, I think it's unfair for me to use it. So I will use instead controversially, the Genosis event.
Interesting. That is controversial.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say, Colin, when you met me at LaveCon, I fixed your model.
When I met what?
We're
When you
doing
met me at
worst,
LaveCon.
Sorry.
we're doing worst experiences next week.
All right, okay.
I'm sorry, Shan. I didn't even catch that Sarky comment because you cut out.
It's all right. Genosis.
Yeah, well, okay, the Genosis. Now, you have to remember my experience with it was a lot different to what most of the other people did, because I was ill at the time, so basically I missed out on the news being generated early, and by the time I had logged in, they had fixed the problem with the mega ship. So basically, it didn't fire on you or fine you for defending it, which that was a bit of a sort of clanger. But the experience that I had, especially with the other commanders that were still about, of defending that ship, reminded me so much of Battlestar Galactica, and it was, and again, I couldn't have done it. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much in solo. But because there were other commanders and a lot of them about, and there was all a coordinated effort to keep those scouts away from the ship, it was fantastic flying around the ship like that. And I do wish that there were more scenarios and things like that, or they were easier to get to. Because you do have scenarios where you can defend an installation or attack an installation, but they seem to be very hard to come by. And whenever I do come by them, I'm always in the wrong ship.
If you just go to a scenario, they trigger after about 10 minutes or so.
What, in every single one?
Reliably, yeah. Occasionally I found that they don't, but at least 50% of the time they trigger within 10 minutes. They'll say, Commander, so-and-so's attacking. Can you help us by doing X, Y, Z? It's a little bit more... It's more like a CG with a static asset. Sorry, it's not a CG. It's more like a conflict zone with a static asset in the middle of it than it is the Gnosis event. So I think the Gnosis event was a little bit of a one-off. But yeah, if it's scenarios you're after, just rock up with a combat ship and to an installation and hang about for 10 minutes and it should trigger.
So technically, because Ben's been hanging around the Lave Station bar for so long, it should trigger.
The Lave Station bar is not an installation, but
isn't it?
No, it's a bar. But I have headed off to Red Hope Acres, and we'll see if something drops in.
Right, I see.
I'm literally has just started up just now.
Well, a scenario has just started off just now.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's what you call timing. Couldn't have planned that, could we? So, I mean, that's our little selection. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the forum posts, read them out to them who's said them, and I just want everybody's quick thoughts about various items as we go through. So, first off, we had Xanfa. who has said that his best memory is the first time he docked, and in this case, premium beta. Now, first docking. How does everybody feel about your first docking?
Nobody forgets their first. I mean, I forgot my first.
Go, Shannon, then I'll come in.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I'm trying to remember back, and it felt like trying to back a camper van into a supermarket parking space the first time I did it, because you completely have no idea how big your ship is, and how big the docking slot is. So the first time you go in, you're going really slow, and you go, "Oh crumbs, I'm going to hit the sides." But the reality is, you've got tens of meters between you. But yeah, the first time the post rack seems very small, and your side winder very big. Particularly, sorry, when you go back to 84 Elite, when if you got your docking wrong, it was game over. But here it's much more forgiving.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. Well, that was the first one. Next, we've got VR Max Factor, who said.
Didn't Ben want to say something?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Ben. Yes, you
I?
first. Yes, you said you were going to chip in after Shan.
That was on something several things earlier. It's okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, VR Max Factor has said for him it was the Lou War against the evil feds. Now, I think who was involved here in the Lou War?
I was.
Yep.
That was when I did my 32-hour stint.
That was awesome.
Hello?
Yeah, we just said it was awesome, yeah.
That was awesome, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Can you hear us, Colin?
Yeah, well, I can hear you now, but I didn't know if you lot could hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Colin.
Oh, right, okay then.
I think we're cutting out for you occasionally.
Okay. We've got. Well, this is going to be fun. Good old Virgin Media is beginning to kick off again. We've got Geoman, who says for him it's been tracking down the galaxy's hypergiants from star catalogs, going there via various permit locks and finding an unexplored one. That is the first time I've come across someone who said that exploration is their favourite bit. I never thought of actually going around and finding the biggest stars you can. Okay, we've got.
Yeah, I like the idea of actually using the star catalogs though to find the data.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, and it's using real world science to find in-game stuff, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Akin Bosch. Now, he says he's got too many to mention, but the one that's top of his head is going back to the very start. He got into a res in Listi with a brand new Eagle and a couple of bursts. Dogfighting between the rocks, audio visuals, the scenery, the way the ship handled. It was almost a perfect realization of the child me space adventurer power fantasy. So yeah, that is always a notable moment. The first time you enter a combat zone in a combat fighter.
Yeah, that is a very good moment.
Yeah, it's nice to be reminded that these occasions happen. Next, we have CG51, who's basically agreeing about the first time docking, and then we've got Good Doc. Now, he says that his best memories was with the original Ramtar mission, which was going out to the new sites and trying to work out the combinations of the obelisks to get all 101 scans. Oh, anyone done that? And anybody do it without using the wiki?
I've not done it, sadly.
No, it's complicated, but worth it. Next, we have Alec Turner. Right. Well, now as we know, Alec is one of the stalwarts of the community, but he's going to go for the first great planetary expedition, which is when everybody decided to circumnavigate an entire planet, like distant worlds do, just in their SRVs, and had 50 people all going around Kume in the Chi Hercules systems. Guys, I remember this happening. Did anybody actually take part?
I
didn't
did
know.
not. I visited them on a meetup, and it looked awesome. There's not been an event like that. It was really original, and very, very different to most of what goes on in the community.
Do we think Alec will do a on foot version of this?
Around the world in 80 days.
That sounds incredibly boring.
You never know. It might be quite interesting.
I thought I had a picture of him. Do you remember in Forrest Gump, where Forrest Gump starts off walking, and then
Yeah.
more people join? It'd be like that, wouldn't it? He'd have a little smiley flight suit on, and it'd be like Forrest Gump across the planet.
Now, J. Franklin 18. Now he says one which is quite popular: firing up VR for the first time. I have
The
yet
very
to come.
first time, though.
Yeah, for the first time in VR.
Him.
Surely your first time in VR is spent messing around with the controls, swearing, trying to get the super sampling right. Like, surely the most amazing time in VR is like your 6th or 7th. Like, if he managed to make his very first time in Elite in VR the best time, his best memory, then he's a better tech wrangler than I am, certainly.
I can relate to that though, because I remember seeing my first ever experience of VR was at a LaveCon, and I think it was Stephen Usher. I think gave me a go in his Oculus, not the launch one, the I can't remember what it's called now.
DK2.
The DK2, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so none of it was focused in. It was really blocky and etc. like that. But it was that wow moment. So I can get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to agree with you with that. There was me. This happened to be at Fantasticon. I think it was either Crash or Stephen had brought along their DK2, and I sat down, and they let me in and played with that for about through 2 of the scenarios, and at the end, I just had to take the headset off and just went, because at that moment I knew that this had just been a complete and utter game changer as far as immersion in games is concerned. And I was just there thinking, this is the kind of thing that I wanted when I was a kid. Yeah, and even, when you compare the DK2 to what we've got now, it's absolutely rubbish and horrible. But it was just the sense of being in your ship.
Yeah,
It managed to do that, which was, yeah. Ben, have you got
the sense of presence in VR is amazing. That was why my first Thargoid kill was so good. It was a marriage of, this is quite hard. I didn't really expect to be able to do it, and the sense of presence because of VR. I felt like I was actually there, and rather than a player in a game had achieved something that me as a space pilot being there had achieved it.
Well, Ciara has made quite a few suggestions, but I'm going to go and choose this one. They recently bought a fleet carrier. And beforehand, he dropped a lot of gripes and moans about how bugged they were, how expensive it was all, how refuel costs all would have been. But since getting one, since last Friday, he's been blown away and completely in love with it. Now, he still thinks he might be in the honeymoon period, but for him, it's probably gotten back into loving the game and just mucking about with something that's his, that's unique and his.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I mean, fair play there, because I didn't think we'd get anybody say anything about fleet carriers under this subject, but it's nice to know that someone's fallen in love with them.
I haven't done it yet, but one thing I would suggest to them is get your fleet carrier full of other people's ships and then decommission it, like we said last week, and let us know how it goes.
They just
Oh, he's-
despawn.
Yeah, you're not willing to do it yourself then.
The ships should just end up floating in space. You don't particularly.
Yes, but to get them back, said player has to ship them back to a station, so it costs them quite a bit of money and time.
Oh, right. Okay. So basically, you want to have people dock with you. You'll jump as far away as possible, say Beagle Point, and then you'll decommission the carrier. So they've got to transfer. They've got massive costs to come back.
Shan,
That's a really evil thought.
You remember this
Colin
new
had
leak
the thought.
you're talking about?
Colin had the evil thought. I did not even think of doing that.
You just led Colin down the evil path.
No, Colin led himself down the path.
I suspect you were tempting him there, matey.
No. I am just speculating on how Shan would try and cause as much.
Listen to it. I did not say that. I was going to say if you decommission.
We know you were thinking it.
And people wonder why no one wants to use the shenanigans carrier, you know.
Anyway, Bottom Hat said his most memorable station thing was jumping through a station when dropping in on a wing beacon. Yes, your trousers go a very different colour when that happens.
Does he mean clipping through it?
Yes.
Interesting.
I didn't think you could clip through it.
I've clipped through them before when you jump in.
Times. Yeah. If you're in a wing, I don't know if it still happens, but it used to happen very reliably. And I guess in a similar vein, there's been a couple of times when I've jumped in through another star. That's interesting as well.
I remember
you
that.
actually fly through another star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
It's usually with a binary system, wasn't it, as well? You jump through one star and then you come out on the other side of the other star.
You do that, and you do that while you're out on your way to Beagle Point or Colonia, and the immediate panic followed by the endorphin rush of "Oh my god, I'm alive!" is amazing.
Well, we've got Ratcatcher up next. He says he's flying his main account out to Colonia, chock full of materials, responding to Operation Montgomery Scott post by Fistio, asking for help boosting the Colonia engineers, and then getting to meet the man himself. Could this be a certain Don, I wonder?
Did you get some nice sausages?
He says it may not sound much, but being in at the start and the end and getting to mix with a couple of known gankers was quite a buzz, he said. So I'm not aware of what Operation Montgomery Scott was, but I'm glad he's, you know.
We're glad you're having fun.
Yes.
That is what we're glad about. I've never heard of it either. I suspect by the context that it was a ganking thing.
Yeah, it does go to show gankers are people too, doesn't it?
Are they? Really?
Not sure about
that. Anyway, Bird Wisdom says the best WoW experience for him was Horizons, when you could land on a planet for the first time. That's up there with the first docking.
That was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I got trapped under the surface. Do you remember that bug? I'm pretty sure I got trapped under the surface.
You'd just fall, wouldn't you? You just keep falling through the planet, yeah.
I've got to admit that a lot of people are saying that the first of something was their best moment. Like my first experience of doing most things in the game aren't particularly memorable because they were either because I screwed it up, or B, that I was faffing with tech, or C, it was so long ago that it was, you know, it just wasn't. It's just sort of faded into the mists of time. But
I can relate to that. No, I can relate to the first of stuff being good.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people are saying it, which is really nice. It's really nice that they still remember those.
Yeah, and it's not just the first time you did something in game. I remember my first time at LaveCon, I was like really shy and unassuming, just kind of floating around the back, kind of looking at people in awe of seeing people like crash for the first time and things like that. And then this player called JMC Neil, who unfortunately died a couple of years later, but he was the one who sort of pounced something. Oh, hi, I'm JMC. What's your command name? And then he sort of dragged me along, and then that got me more involved with the community. So yeah, it was the first time you go somewhere, even if it's not as successful as you think it might be, it's still memorable.
Yeah, nice.
No, power play expert Rubber Nuke. He said not in the game, but he's loved his first 30-page forum PvP mega battle.
Jesus Christ.
Oh. And then we have our old friend Vintian. Now he says that his favourite one is the second Hutton convoy with Ed Lewis at the head. They plotted a route through dangerous space where the dastardly Dawn had brought his evil minions to an attempt to interdict the convoy and steal the cargo. They had 200 plus ships, all heading on a 20 jump route, all broadcast live. Yeah, well, it is the truckers. When they started organizing things, they certainly started organizing things.
Was he most surprised that he managed to get Ed to swear live on air?
It was,
yes, I remember that. So, yes, for those new listeners, Ed Lewis was a previous community manager who is well beloved, mostly for Mr. Blobby and Ed Normans. So, you had to be there. We've got Commander Osric now, who's got plenty of good memories, but he thinks it will be dropping guns from his starting Cobra, buying a fuel scoop, and heading out to the Pleiades cluster with an 11 light-year jump range and a 100 light-year route plotter, and maniacal NPCs that would follow you to the end of the galaxies. It just said that I had been able, when I finally got there, that I'd been able to fly my favorite object in the night sky in a game was very special. Now that one is definitely interesting because if you were smuggling rare items, didn't the pirates come after you no matter where you were in the galaxy?
They did, yes.
Do they still do that?
No.
Oh.
I do remember having one tag along behind me for something like 15,000 light years once. But yeah, they don't do it anymore.
Right. Next we have Fish 172. The best moment was the day it went live in beta. And he thought, after all those years, I'm back, and then promptly blew up.
Nice.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, that definitely mirrors your first experience in 1984 Elite. Wow, this is great. I better dock with the station. Boom. We've got Speed Cuffs, who says his best memory is the first time landing on a dark surface site with a T9. I take it the dark surface site, is that a Guardians thing? Or just a
I think
an
he just
inspiration?
means any kind of place that you can land with a beacon. That's
Yeah,
in the
this
night.
is
There's in the dark. Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. This will be pre-night vision, won't it?
Oh, I love night vision gog. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Has
we've
anybody
got.
else? Sorry, no, go on.
No, go on.
I have a moan with night vision. It really annoys me that it's rendered on the screen rather than on the and therefore in VR it's on the actual lenses rather than in the game world on your canopy. Like most UI elements are rendered on the canopy itself. So if you move your head in VR, they stay where they are. And it means that if your canopy blows out, they they disappear, obviously, because the canopy's gone. But night vision, it's rendered on the screen or /VR lenses rather than in the game world itself, which means that in VR it moves with your head. It's really discombobulating. It's such a minor moan, but I remember during the beta, the devs talked a lot about how much thought they'd put into how the HUD works and the cockpit and everything, and I used to really like that it worked like that. And then the night vision thing came out, and I was like, why have you forgotten this? Why have you abandoned that philosophy? Anyway, does any other VR user here notice that?
Yeah, it's probably because that would have been a bit harder to code than doing the whole thing.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
How do you know? How do you know? Sorry. How do you know the night vision isn't being superimposed over your retinas? So.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's good. That's good hand wavium. I like that. That's excellent hand wavium, Shan.
Yeah, just like the computer interprets all the actions around you and gives you your own soundscape.
Yeah.
Mac thinks it might be on your sunglasses.
Fair enough. My commander does wear sunglasses.
That'll be why then. Chaparral, he's got in there's lots of general fun, but he says that Salome was fun. The first capital ship experience was awesome, but he says his first time he was hyperdicted was probably it. Now this actually comes up a lot, and we'll probably be going over mentioning people who who've found that their first hyperdiction was a high point. But now, Sue, you play in VR all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
So what was it like for you in the first hyperdiction you got?
I think I've been playing in VR non-stop since October 2018. And my first hyperdiction was earlier than that. So my first hyperdiction was on a monitor, and
right, got you.
I was just like, oh wow, that's cool. It's happened to me in VR, and it is remarkable, but it was less remarkable because I knew what was going to happen.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. I mean, I was well behind the curve when hyperdictions were happening. No matter what I did, I couldn't get hyperdicted at all. Ben, you managed to get hyperdicted before me, didn't you?
Quite possibly. I remember I was out in in the Pleiades when I got for the first time. Can't even remember what I was doing out there, but yes, it's always been fun.
Yeah, I think I was. I think it was a day or so after it first appeared with my first hyperdiction, and I was on a live stream. I think it was the Hammers of Slough that was streaming at the time, and it almost felt like the Hindenburg moment when the reporter is trying to explain on the radio, the Hindenburg, what was going on, because no one had or very few people had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was pretty amazing. You didn't know whether you'd actually survive or not, because it was that, violent a thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, it was basically just a cutscene, wasn't it? And then they've managed to put it in, and they do fire on you if they're not happy with you for some reason. Which, yeah, that I've had several. When I'm carrying components for the Rantar missions, and you get hyperdicted, and you know that those Thargoids won't like what you've got in your cargo bay, that is a sphincter twitching moment. It really is.
What I liked about the whole thing was because it sparked a whole new thread of science. Because what I would do, you'd carry a whole load of escape pods around in your ship, and then you'd drop them when the Thargoid appeared, just to see whether the Thargoid would eat them up or what they would do to them, and then you drop various commodities to see how they reacted.
But of course, you first of all thought of escape pods.
Well, yes, because no one at the time, the Guardian stuff wasn't really in the game so much. They're trickier to get, so escape pods were easier to find.
We've got Artyok. They're saying basically first moments since donning the VR helmet, but the one that springs to mind is the first Great Planetary Expedition, which he was working with Alec Turner. VR Mad Mike is definitely the first time in beta at a Coriolis station and undocking. and facing an Earth-like world in a brand new Oculus Rift DK2. Yes, that would be one of those jaw-dropping moments. Also, we have thrown me there. We've got some darn guy. He's basically he had fun. Oh, he had fun around the Genosis as well. Well, after the Thargoids pulled it out of which space. So I wasn't the only the only one who had who enjoyed that one. Osashi's, he's there with the 8 WD Endurance Championship, the Scarab Rally Racing. Last race of the series, Alec Turner and himself were so close from points for second place, and they both went out to win the stage. I mean, those Scarab Rally Racing things, they're fantastic to watch. I don't think I've ever been good enough to run it. We got Naked Murder 3R. When he had a fistful of credits, and he A-rated his Freegal, and he managed to stay in a blind spot of an anaconda and a res, and took it down by slowly chipping away its hull. I mean, that goes back to what, that goes back to what you were saying about learning the skill and finally achieving that level of skill, isn't it?
Yeah. Elite is skill based, and therefore, when you first do something that is not for beginners, it is much more rewarding than it is in a lot of games, because you in a very real sense you have got better at something that's not very easy, and Elite is a very, very good game for delivering those moments.
Do you think that's because certainly initially the price of failure is comparatively high?
Yeah, that plays into it, certainly. Yeah, that is the other side of the coin. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I lost a lot of ships before I killed a Thargoid, and it made that victory taste all the sweeter.
Yeah. Here we go. We have Grow G97. He arrived at the Omega mining station in his DW2, which is the Oculus Rift. In his DBX. Oh, hang on. With DW2. Oh, Distant Worlds 2. All right. In his DBX, boosting into the station and meeting a friendly beluga. Yeah, I mean, the Distant Worlds expeditions are a highlight for a lot of people. But one thing that I am noticing in this is that it's either a first timer doing something, or it's doing something in a group.
Yeah, community stuff. Yeah, that's true. Actually, it is. A lot of it is first time, and then community stuff. Elite is made so much better by doing things with friends.
Yeah. We've got M_72. He's gone Distant Worlds 3302, Colonial Expedition, and Distant Worlds 3305. So yeah, again, fantastic community exploration events. And Chemo has said, mine would be dropping into a ring system for the first time in the alpha, and you could not believe what FDev had produced.
Ring systems in beta were amazing. They even, I probably think they're better than they are now. Would you say?
How?
Because there's been a lot of graphical downgrading. We suspect it has something to do with the consoles.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, Obsidian Ant noticed this, that we had a lot of when you flew around the gas giants and there seemed to be a lot more dense and a lot more foggy, and then all of a sudden and I think that was the Xbox One build came along, things seemed to clear up a bit.
Ah, interesting. That's a shame.
I mean, did you find that, Shan?
I did, yes. I remember I was in my Cobra Mark III at the time, and I think I was fighting an asp inside the asteroid belt, and it was in the shadow of the planet, and it was dark and it was misty and it was mysterious. It almost felt you were playing hide and seek. with the other ship, and yeah, it looked immense. Now I think the asteroids are too clear by and large. They've kind of lost that foggy, dusty kind of surround to them.
Yeah.
It may just be kind of like the fogginess of memory, and we always remember things are better. They looked better than they actually were, but I think it's definitely different.
Yeah. Oh, this was actually quite a nice one. We've got this from Orby1, who says, I don't know if this counts, but he brought Elite Dangerous on the day the country went into lockdown in April 2020. Well, I think that's not ours because we went into lockdown March, but it's pretty much all he's been doing ever since, and it has definitely saved his sanity. That's a
Nice.
that's a nice one. I'll definitely agree with the fact that you can escape from certain situations in this game. Zeman says he'll go back to completing his original quest to visit all the stars in the Erroneous constellation. Back when he did this, the engineers didn't exist, and jumping and collecting jumponium materials was much more difficult, and that would have been before they even mucked about with the stars. So that would have been one heck of a exploration trip. We've got Agony Ant. He says, I don't think any experience can compare to that first time of starting up in the game, just sitting in your ship and having no idea what you should do, but you're still looking around the station and the ship's flying around you. It's a real wow moment, and you only get to experience that once. Although he does mention the first time you zoom out the galaxy map.
Oh yes! Oh my god! The first time you get a feel for using the galaxy map is amazing.
Yeah, that's the moment when you suddenly think the total perspective vortex is real. And if you don't know what the total perspective vortex is, go look it up. It'll be too long for me to explain it. We have the Stellar Shepherd. He says, taking part of Truffle Shuffle's shenanigans by accident. Which I've got no idea what that is, but it seems to be a.
That would be Truffle Shuffle was the guy who organised most of the anti-AXI stuff.
Right.
So
yes,
all
because
the
this
players
was
that tried to PvP AX pilots, basically.
Yeah, it was around Yang Hub apparently, and he didn't expect to be involved. And then all of a sudden, there was an energy surge detected. All the systems went offline, and before he knew it, he was involved in a major Barney with a Thargoid. So yeah, that would have been nice. And we're beginning to run out on the forums now, so I suppose that's a good thing. If my server would start working properly. Oh dear. I am having some severe internet issues tonight, and I don't know why. But one that I will mention that will probably come into is the one that Stephen Usher mentioned, and it's quite funny because basically both me and Ben thought.
And we have lost a Colin.
Yeah, while Colin gets back, I'm not sure if Colin will get to them, but there's a couple on the final page of that forum thread that kind of jumped out at me. And Commander Card's son mentions about Rubigo mine. Do you remember Rubigo?
Yeah.
And he said, rising out of the belly of Rubigo mines, seeing the gas giant in all its glory, with a cargo hold of slaves on the third or fourth time trying it, had no idea if it's going to make the high stakes trip, having failed before, but it's so exciting to try. First time in his life he'd ever had a genuine hand solo experience, and he mentioned rather sadly it hadn't happened since. So I remember Rubigo. That was fun.
Yeah, I did a bit of that, and that was really, really good fun. Yeah, high stakes smuggling and elite is definitely squeaky bum time. Very, very good fun.
The other one was by Craif. Have and they point out the whole story about the Cerberus plague. Do you remember the Cerberus plague?
I do.
So overcome by cooperating and pulling the greater good of individual profit and grabbing rares to create a cure. I remember Cerberus plague. I wish they'd do more stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty bad taste at the moment, I suppose, but it was a really original thing to happen in the game, and I remember that. The other one they mentioned was Planet Wilson, when Bomba Luigi got stuck in his SRV on a planet, and the whole rescue operation to get him out of the deep canyon.
Yeah, I remember
That was
that.
brilliant. I love that.
That was very, very cool.
And what made it better was the post on the forum by Bomba Luigi, who did it in character. So he wrote the story as if he's actually in the SRV for real. Yes, I remember Planet Wilson. Didn't Frontier rename the moon
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Planet Wilson
Ben, do
in
you know
honor
if
of
they
that?
did or not? Never mind. I don't remember. I don't remember reading that they had.
Ben's gone off with Colin, I think. And the other one was, he says, the Epsilon Indy Bourbon CG, where the whole community again worked together and seemingly overcame impossible odds and nearly made Tier 8, missing it by a mere 749 tons. I don't remember that CG. Do you? Remember
No, I don't remember that one.
and then,
go on.
no, so and then lastly, he's put his VR headset and fly his Eagle for a planet ring. Or when you stand on the British T9 on Autodocs, and the whole VR experience again.
Yeah,
it's pretty magical.
Indeed. Shall I do the Twitter ones then?
Well, we've got a couple. We've got MJC. There's a couple left. We might as well finish this with the forum thread off.
Okay.
There's not that many left. So yeah, go ahead and do the. Okay, MJC. They got the third place in BIG in season 2 of the ED PvP League, which is 3 engineers. So I sort of remember the PvP leagues going on. It wasn't something I took part in, but I sort of remember it. And sadly, another departed commander, Operator 83.
Yes.
And it passed from COVID a few months ago. And again, more PvP, the LP98-13234 Anarchy PvP doing Beta and Gamma, when the bubble was small and there was no salt, no hacks, no engineers, and everyone was learning together. So yeah, I remember those. I remember those PvP battles, because the bubble was only like 30-odd light years across.
Yeah.
And his other memory was the Lu War of Independence. Interesting how that one keeps coming up, isn't it? He met a commander with the early morning TV2, and seeing Commander Braben in Super Cruise early on in the game and not killing him. See, I always wished I could see David Braben in game, because I would give him such a welcome and make him feel really happy.
Would
I've
that
never
be a
seen him
welcome with Class 3 beam lasers by any chance?
No, I would. No, I would honestly. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting David in real life, but no, I would not. I would give him a proper, worthy welcome.
Class 3 hugs.
Yes, and the last one, I remember this: the Truckers versus the Code beat a blowout. Cobras and Vipers. Do you remember that?
No, not this one.
I'm making me feel old now. And welcome back, Colin.
Yeah, I don't know where I got cut off.
You were talking about Stephen Usher's thing, and then you vanished, and then Shan picked up after Stephen Usher. So we've left Stephen for you.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, the last thing that we've got so many more of these moments to bring up that I think it's better to move the rest of them to next week. But so if you haven't heard yours, don't worry, we'll get to them. But the one I did want to mention was Stephen Usher's suggestion when Lave Radio was live broadcasting the exploration of a Thargoid ruin. What happens if you put a Guardian component into the machine at the center of a Thargoid base?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a good memory as well.
Yeah. Ben, You remember what that was like, by any chance?
We get a free barbecue.
Yeah. For those of you who want to know what happened, it is available on YouTube in several occasions, and even mentioning it on Obsidian Ant cut it out, and even then he couldn't suppress the panic that was going through everybody's voices as this kicked off. Because yeah, and I bet there was some guys at Frontier going, "Oh, wait till they do it! Wait till they do it!" And then boom, we did it. So
Yeah, that was funny. I did a similar thing with Hammers of Slough. Actually, I got them all really close to the structure and said, "Right, get ready," and I sort of blocked them in and toasted them.
But I mean, it's kind of a rite of passage now for anyone who goes to see the Thargoid megastructure. You've got to give it a Guardian device as well, just to round things off.
Just say
Yeah.
hello.
yeah, it's one of those moments where it's one of those typical elite dangerous. You've got to do this moments, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
I'd have loved to have been on the on the design meeting when they said, "Oh, let's make this happen." When they put a Guardian Ruin in, and they kind of have a real cackling show.
I can just picture Zach cackling at that, can't you?
Oh, it would be, yeah, he would be. He'd be well up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we're going to step away from the main discussion just quickly and just touch on the community corner, which has had quite a lot going on for the last couple of weeks. So, first of all, the Dark Wheel are back from their holiday break and are pushing now. We'll go into pending expansion this year to go into the Sol test site. After that, they're prepping to start an expansion into LFT 509. And this month is going to see them test their last two remaining sites. Also, Malik VR, well, we hope he enjoyed his week of fame with his Beagle Point run. This has been now utterly shattered by the previous record holder, Dr. Chives, with a time of 4 hours, 18 minutes and 53 seconds. How the heck has he done that?
Wow.
I mean, that's what, an hour and a half quicker?
That's remarkable.
So I'm just trying to work out the math of that. So if the average jump is 45 seconds, the actual cutscene bit is 45 seconds. How many jumps is that?
It's not. The jump is 13 seconds. The minimum time you'll be in hyperspace is 13 seconds. Angling yourself for the next jump might take a few more seconds. But there's no.
Yeah, and I was also thinking
minimum
of
for that.
scooping time as well.
So, Colin, Dr. Chives is actually in Twitch just now, and he's saying, with a lot of fast jumping.
I jumped really fast.
Yeah, I suspect there's a little bit more logistics than that, but yeah.
Okay.
267 jumps, Dr. Chives says.
It's a hell of an achievement, champ.
Bloody hell, mate. Hats off to you. I mean, that
Fast
is...
salute for that one.
Dr. Chives, can I suggest you rename your ship Tigger?
Yeah, that's a good one. Right. Now, Ben, do you want to cover the next one about Paige?
Okay, I can do that. I need to scroll down to there and not crash into an asteroid while I'm doing it. That would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Mm.
So yeah, former CM Paige Harvey who's now otherwise known as Artemis on Twitch, is doing a multi-stream Ask Me Anything on life as a marginalized person on Saturday the 30th of January from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So she's got a anonymous Google form where she's inviting everybody to ask questions on all sorts of things, from various LGBTQ plus issues to disabled issues to mental issues. Basically, anything you were ever too afraid to ask but wanted to know, or something like that. and you were like, I can't ask that. And this time, maybe you can. She's got a bunch of folks who people may or may not know. We certainly will recognize some of them, but so we've got Stephen Spoon, Mouse Was Taken, who's awesome. I love her. She's great. Starfunkel, Dominic Evans, Sugar Pixie, Commander Plato with his thargoid cancer, and Commander. I'm slash salute for to Commander Plato and fuck you cancer. Command Dracthonia, Cornish Knight, Tiffany Witcher, the L Doctor, lovely Dr. K. Ross, Lunabat, Liana Rupert, who's otherwise known as Dirty Effin' Hippie, Rose Alara, Stacy of Gotham, Accessible Gamer, how do I pronounce that? Luciana, I think, Luciane, and Dragon Freaky. And you can watch that. She's going to be doing some kind of multi-streaming thing, but you can watch her on twitch.tv/Arthanos. And she'll be tweeting about that, and we'll be retweeting it and things like that, because there's a lot of very interesting questions that, like, I never really
thought about asking.
Yeah. It's like, I can't. Yeah, how do I ask that, but without offending somebody?
Right. We've also got to congratulate Commander Musketeer, the CQC expert, for reaching, and brace yourselves, folks, 200,000 kills in CQC. Actually, 200,003 at the last count. That's phenomenal.
How many times over CQC Elite is that?
About 4 or 5?
So it's 50k kills for Elite in CQC, is it?
I'm not sure. I'm only guessing, but that is bonkers. We've also got to congratulate Commander Overlight, who has managed to take 5 seconds off the Hutton Orbital Run speed record, which was previously held by Commander Brett Riverboat, and that record's been in place for more than a year.
Nice.
So what actually is that record? Is it how long it takes you to get to an orbital, or is it a?
Yeah, it's how long you get from the moment you've dropped into Alpha Centauri to get to Hutton Orbital, and he managed to do it by using a braking maneuver using the gravity around Eden.
Isn't that cool? You can actually use orbital mechanics to do that sort of thing in the game.
Yeah, I absolutely love that Elite is like that. My favourite thing about the game.
I mean, I love the fact that somebody in a Sidewinder managed to find a body small enough, switch his engines off, and went into proper orbit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of bad news. It appears that the company that supplied the fantastic ED tracker, which I've got one, has now gone under. Although you can still buy the device in kit form, and we'll supply the link in the show notes, the main website has gone down, and there doesn't seem to be any support available unless you go into the forums and ask. And the amazing Commander Brumster still has some of the software on his website, and what we'll do is we'll also put in a link to that software drivers and instructions on how to set things up. The Elite Dangerous Ship anatomy. Now, Shan, you found this.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. If you ever want to really spec your ship out in terms of utility replacements and where to put your guns so they get the maximum damage for convergence, then basically this allows you to view a blueprint of any ship in the game and actually see where the modules are on the model. And even it's quite useful actually when you want to kill ships, because it shows you the exact location of the power unit or the distributor or whatever to give you a point to aim at. So it's a really useful and found it really fascinating, actually.
I must admit, the fact that they've gone into that much, that must have been a painstaking chore to put together, just to work out where each component is on every single ship.
It must have taken a while, yeah. But I enjoyed that. It's well worth fiddling around with.
Not to mention the amount of detail that FDev put in to put all these places in, actually structure it properly and put in the proper place and design the ships like that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right. From there, we'll go back to Hutton again, because Hutton's gone to the Antarctic, Voyage 2, along with the fuel rats and Cannon Interstellar. The Hutton Orbital and fuel rats and Cannon Interstellar peoples are on their travels again. Commander Dog's Breath is on board the MPV Everest to the Antarctica as part of Operation Hot Mess. So they'll be posting progress reports with the Hutton mug as it gets closer and closer to the South Pole. And finally, we have had a notification that the High Wake has released another parody video. Now, I didn't know about these guys, the High Wake. This time, in this particular parody video, they're highlighting how important it is to drive safely around Guardian sites. Ben, you put me onto these. I mean,
This guy's done a brilliant set of videos, hasn't he? It's great.
yeah,
I love the "Do you think you'll dock one?" Yeah, that's probably my favorite. But all the ones he's done are so good.
That one does remind me a little of Dockers. That one does. Surprisingly enough. Okay, so we'll put a link into High Wake's channel in the website. If not, just have a quick look on YouTube for High Wake. You'll find it easy enough. So before we carry on, has anybody got any other business that just like to bring up?
Not from me. Oh, it is worth saying we have the response to our question about what was your best memory in Elite has received a huge number of responses, which we're absolutely thrilled about, and we haven't been able to cover them all today. So we will come back to them next week. So if you have given us one of your memories, we haven't ignored you. It's just that we had too many to cover in one episode, and the others have just reminded me that issue 32 of Sagittarius Eye is releasing on Thursday. This is the last issue that will just be podcast. From issue 33, we'll go back to print and podcast releasing side by side. But issue 33 will be audio only. So head to www.sagittarius-i.com to pick up your copy as of 5 p.m. on Thursday.
Sue, I'd just like to remind you that we are looking for the full-length version of the ship paint job song.
You mean the Store Alert song?
The Store
Alert! Song, yeah. All right, leave it with me. I'll work on something.
Oh God, that's not going to go well at all, is it? Anyway, so I'll start with the shout outs. So first of all, we always have to shout out to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, which broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 GMT. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or just the audio you can find at radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/EliteDangerousCQC, just for the honor of being killed by Commander Musketeer. For those of you who would like a literary discussion about science fiction and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast, which is created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. Now, following on from this, we have the amazing Galactic News Digest, as supplied by Commander Witherspoon, with contributions by Commander Beetlejude. We're also going to give shout-outs to a lot of the other Elite Dangerous podcasts, which have been springing up. A couple of years ago, we were the only one, and since then, quite a few have appeared in the scenes. So we'll say hello and a hi to the Loose Screws, Elite Week. There's Malin Psyche on the flight assist off. Now, for Spanish speakers out there is the Elite Cast, but we don't know whether or not they're still going.
Last time I heard it was, but it's a bit sporadic.
Elite Week apparently has just passed more than 1K subs on YouTube.
Nice.
Yes, which I'm jealous about because Top Shift is just about 600, which I'm.
Don't worry, Colin. I'm sure Kai will make that up to you.
Was also Canon have released a new podcast lately, the Canon podcast. That's available, and of course there is the Guard Frequency podcast, but they tend to cover all space sims, not just Elite Dangerous. And of course, you can always find Obsidian and the Burr Pit. They're also on YouTube. So I'd like to thank all those who have chipped in on the Twitch chat and the. Have we had many in-game commanders pop by the bar, Ben?
No, I've had one person trying to bring up with me, but not having any luck actually meeting up. And I think I saw Miggles was in the area, but he didn't sort of say hi. So screw you, Miggles.
That's how it's going to be from now on. Screw you, Miggles.
I was gonna say hi, but he didn't sort of say anything. So I was like, I'm gonna go shoot things instead.
So as part of Lave Radio, we'd like to give a service announcement from now on. If anybody else sees Commander Miggles from now on, you're supposed to greet him with "Screw you, Miggles."
That's very rude.
Yes.
And
he knows I'm only screwing him because I love him.
Good. That is an appropriate reason.
I guess it's better than screwing him and then leaving in the morning. But
yeah, it's not like a hateful screw or anything like that.
Those are fun though.
Right, I'm drawing a line under this before it gets even worse. That's enough. It's bad enough.
Boys, stop screwing around.
Good grief! I think God fell out of his cradle laughing at that one. Anyway. That's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, then you can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us @laveradio, or you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Warning, this is shared with the Hutton Orbital Truckers, so use some deodorant or air freshener depending on which. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks very much to Ben and Souverine and to Commander Shan. Special thanks, of course, goes to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV, and also N2 for joining us yet again. But until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be done. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 12th of January 3307. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news,
it'll all be over by Tharg's Day.
Decal delight for pod part pickers.
Marlinists, Lacon, elections and retribution.
It'll all be over by Tharg's Day. After being effectively eliminated from the Coalsack Nebula last week, Thargoids are doing a better job clinging on to their toehold in the Witchhead Nebula. But even there, it seems that they may soon be on the way out. Having been eliminated from Shenve and Evangelis, and with no anti-Xeno conflict zones left, those systems will be declared officially Thargoid-free on Thursday. There's a good chance that Lembas and Wellington will follow suit, leaving just Haki and Onoros that may not be cleared of Thargoids in time for this week's update. However, with a bit of a final push, it's perfectly possible that the Thargoids will be gone. The station rescues, which are still currently required in all 6 systems, will come to an end, and the repair of the 6 damaged stations in the Witchhead Nebula can commence. Was this a one-off attack by the Thargoids? Will the resounding and decisive way they've been sent packing mean humanity is left in uncontested charge of the galaxy? If so, then how soon can we get permission to enter the Col 70 sector and take the fight to the Thargoid homelands?
Decal delight for pod part pickers. The request last week for research materials for the Holloway Bioscience Unit has seen a slow but steady response, with around 300 commanders delivering more than a fifth of the material requested. The Institute seemed to have expected a slow early response and believes that this much material should be sufficient for it to set up 4 wildlife areas near Colonia for visitors interested in seeing the inhabitants of Lagrange clouds, the fabled notable stellar phenomena, without having to travel too far from Colonia, which is already quite far, unless you sensibly hitch a ride on a fleet carrier. The remaining 80% of the requested material, if delivered, would allow 1 more wildlife refuge to be established. There are believed to be a number of fleet carriers out in the pod fields, acting as factory processors for anything the smaller ships can collect. When they start arriving in Colonia on Wednesday, we'll see if that massive last tier of achievement can be fulfilled. As an added bonus, commanders finishing in the top 75% of contributors, which probably means they collected more than about 70 pod parts, will be awarded a Galactic Wildlife Fund sticker to wear on their ship. It is rumoured that the decal will bear a mysterious poem, which some say will lead them to the location of Raxler. It allegedly goes like this. Pod part pickers picked a peck of perfect pod parts. A peck of perfect pod parts, pod part pickers picked. If pod part pickers picked a peck of perfect pod parts, where's the peck of perfect pod parts pod part pickers picked? The Holloway Bioscience Institute in Colonia. That's where.
And we'd just like to say that the Holloway Bioscience Institute has issued a statement denying any knowledge of the whereabouts of Raxler. Marlinists, Lacon, elections and retribution. In other news this week, Marlinists are reported to be getting impatient that the housing and new settlements in the Hyades sector that they were promised on the 21st of December is still not ready for them to move into. Galactic regulators are said to be scrutinising Core Dynamics' takeover of Lacon Spaceways with a fine-tooth comb, looking for irregularities. Lacon Spaceways has made it clear that despite the takeover, none of its existing lines of ships will be withdrawn from sale. With the Alliance Prime Ministerial election due on the 25th of February, Prime Minister Mahon has been criticised for his expansionist approach that may have provoked the recent Thargoid attacks, and anti-Thargoid agency Aegis has voiced its support for a galactic summit to get the Empire, Federation, Alliance and independent systems working together again.
In Odyssey news, the Pilots Federation has confirmed that the brief blackout that affects commanders as they get into their SRV will also affect them in the same way as they prepare to descend the exit ramp to walk about on planets. Mag boots will be used while walking around outposts that have no centrifuge to induce a gravity-like effect. The Pilots Federation is unable at this time to comment on whether those mag boots will allow commanders to walk on walls.
The Buckyball Racing Club's Sidewinder Fuel Finder time trial is underway, with Commander Gus Frabar in the lead with a time of 37 minutes and 18 seconds from Kailano to Fuelum, demonstrating that not having a fuel scoop doesn't mean you can't bring a Sidewinder from the Pleiades back to the bubble. And Commander Overlight has beaten the all-time best time for the Hutton Run, jumping into Alpha Centauri, flying all the way to Proxima Centauri and docking at Hutton Orbital with a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 26 seconds, 5 seconds better than the previous record.
All the Colonia engineers have now learned how to make all their modifications to Grade 5, meaning that Operation LaForge and Operation Montgomery Scott work is at an end, and the Colonia engineers offer 6 exclusive blueprints that are available nowhere else. Finally, scribbling Senator Drew Wagar has announced that his new live-stream documentary, Elite Retribution, will be starting at 8 p.m. on the evening of the 14th of January. He plans to follow events as new pilot Sassia Bianchi seeks retribution for the apparently meaningless murder of members of her family. Commanders using the PC flight control system are invited to join the Drew Wagar group and participate in Sassia's search for justice.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.